Collapse from within is possible. Race and open borders have become levers for the left to sow societal disunity. Immigration without assimilation, illicit drugs, human trafficking, disputed elections, inflationary risk, they've become the tools to disassemble our republic in what must surely be an attempt at national suicide. We allow MS-13 assassins to pass through our borders with gang tattoos covering their faces while we are lectured by our media for our obstinacy. There's a Marxist theoretician. I don't often talk about Marxist theoreticians. His name was Antonio Gramsci. He's an important man in history. He considered freedom servitude. He endeavored to rescue communism by positing that Western values are themselves cultural hegemony. Sound familiar? Western values have brought democratic institutions, technology, and a vast array of achievements to the world. We know this. And while Gramsci died years ago, I have to ask, why are our children being taught his lessons that derive from his invalidation notions in our schools as we sit here today? The histories of our heroes should instead be taught. Men like President Reagan. We must do this so students may comprehend the potential for excellence that exists within every single person. There was a fellow, his name was Dr. Norman Borlaug. I had the privilege to speak in Iowa at an event there celebrating his life. He was born in 1914. He created the Green Revolution. It was President Carter who wrote that Dr. Borlaug did more than any individual in history in the battle to end world hunger. Borlaug invented the high-yield wheat and agriculture practice that are used in Kansas today, and the practices that averted starvation in places like Mexico and India, Pakistan, China, and all throughout Africa. In destitute villages the world over, Norman Borlaug didn't see race, he didn't see religion or color. He asked a simple question: do these people have enough food? In so doing, he saved more lives than any person in history. He received the Nobel Peace Prize, the Presidential Medal of Freedom, the Congressional Gold Medal, and countless accolades all across the world. But today, there is scary a mention of Mr. Borlaug in any of our public schools. This is tragic, and this must change. We dwell on our faults as if they were unique and not ubiquitous to every land that's ever existed. When will we teach our children about America's triumphs and our greatness? That answer is that every one of you in our party must make sure that that day is tomorrow. Our country is tearing itself apart. And for what? Anarchy and the elimination of our police can bring but death and fear. Discrimination can't be fought with more discrimination. And the form of socialism that is now being praised by the woke politicians and our billionaires will bring democracy to its knees. It'll bring it to its knees by culling dissenting opinions while concealing harmful biases in search engines and in social media platforms. And if we do not act to secure our elections by demanding voter ID and online manipulation, we will be governed by forces that are beyond our control. Now, I'm sufficiently cynical to always ask the question, who benefits? Well, it's not America, but an array of global interests that has amassed power and unaccountable wealth through their usurpation of the American dream. This was done by selling or commoditizing the engines of our economy. We had whole industries that moved to China. President Trump and I began to stem this tide. We formulated trade policies that brought unmatched numbers of jobs back here home to the United States of America. We established energy independence through regulatory reform, unleashing a massive amount of American dynamism. We addressed intellectual property theft, critical materials and supply chains insecurities. We saved jobs that belong here and must never again be allowed to be stolen by anyone. I know we're not supposed to look backwards at this event, but these last 180 days have been something. This progress that we made has now been countermanded. That's so inconsistent with who we are and must be as a party. China's fusion of business and government has become the model for monopolistic corporations that seek permanent market dominance. Continuous surveillance, uniformity, and indoctrination means stability and growth for the most powerful countries in history. This is the reason why the same entities that exploit slave labor in China, lecture us at home about racism, continue to build their empires. They do it on the backs of slave labor. Do these leaders not hear the cries of Uyghur mothers whose babies are torn from their wombs? You won't read much about it in our press. If our press were indeed fair-minded, it would expose this deceit. But they're owned, and they're bought, and they are silent. When dominant social media platforms can suspend and then ban a president of the United States, there is too much power in too few hands. So how does our party respond? How do we meet this challenge? To change the present course, we must inform our citizens of the threats to liberty, designed to be subtle or unseen, and we must eliminate the constellation of laws and regulations that has granted these corporations almost unlimited and certainly unearned power and wealth. There are some basic precepts, our antitrust laws, Section 230. These are things that will begin to restore freedom inside of our country.